Worksheet's going live.
And we're live. Thank you everyone for being patient. We have ran into a few obstacles getting this up and running today, so we're just trying to prepare everything. We've got another live stream on YouTube as well, so if you do want to go check this out on YouTube, it's a lot more sophisticated and set up. Doug's got a couple of cameras on here. We've got an overhead camera showing you the actual worksheet so you can see what it looks like. If you type in your web browser djp.li/witty2, so djp.li/witty2, the number 2, that will take you right to our live stream on YouTube, so you guys can see what's going on there too. Today we're going to do the second worksheet in my book, Get Your Story Straight. So the first day we did our worksheet on the basics movie worksheet, and that was just kind of like a short little, kind of what it sounds like, basics movie worksheet, but it focused on the main character and the change that they must go through. So today we're going to go over a different worksheet that focuses on your main character's backstory. And so the backstory is just going to be a basic history about your character. It's going to have every detail. I tried to think of good, interesting questions that will help with different details on your backstory with your main character. And we're going to go over it with my actual screenplay that I'm writing right now. Right now, I'm working on a short, and it's pretty much done, but I want to go back through it with my worksheet and with my book and see how it applies to an actual story that I've written. So today we're going to go through that, and I'm going to see what changes happen, what I come up with. I haven't really gone through too much. So the story is basically a woman who is obsessed with this guy at work, and she tries to get him to go out with her, and he kind of blows her off, and so she takes matters into her own hands, and it's a dark comedy, so there's a lot of it's just like my sense of humor, my style. That's what I want to do with movies. I really love dark comedies. So we're going to go through that. Her name's Carly. The first worksheet we kind of did, it's the basics movie worksheet, just to kind of give you guys an overview really quick of what that is. So we described the basic plot of the main character, and it basically goes over the change that the main character must go through. So what we came up with is Carly is lonely and is obsessed with a man at work. That's kind of basically how she is at the beginning of the film. And then in the middle of the film, she has a crush on him and asks him out, and then makes the decision to kidnap him when he rejects her. So at the end, Carly's perspective changes because a coworker saves her life, basically, and kind of makes her a little bit more empathetic towards him, which changes her from the beginning of the story towards the end of the story. So the beginning, she was lonely and obsessed, and I guess another word would be extremely self-centered. And by the end of the story, she's a little less self-centered. A lot of times in dark comedies, the main character doesn't really change. And just comedies in general, the main character usually doesn't change very much. A good example that most people have seen is with Seinfeld. You'll notice at the end of the episodes, the characters usually don't change, and for some reason, as humans, we find that funny. They don't see the faults in their flaws. And so usually they'll change a little bit, but towards the end they usually become the exact same person that they've always been. So in this one, it's a dark comedy, so I don't want her to change too much. I do want some sort of change, because if there's no change, then she's not the main character, and there's really not much of a story arc. So today, we're going to do the backstory worksheet, which focuses even more on the main character and their background. So the backstory worksheet is definitely longer, like I said, so we're going to try and go through it. And maybe you guys can help me if I get stuck, because last time I got stuck a little bit, and because the questions are kind of hard, I really put a lot of thought into them, and I really want to put as much effort into this as possible to see see how it helps other people. Thank you to everyone who also purchased the book. I've got a few more purchases since our last talk on Monday. What day is it? What day is it? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday. Um, everyone's getting turned around on their days because of what's going on. Everyone's stuck at home. So we'll go through the backstory worksheet really quick. So the first thing that we want to do is the main character's name. My main character's name is Carly. I'm not going to give her a last name. This is a short film, and it's kind of, if it's not impertinent or important to the main story, then it doesn't really matter if you give them a last name. I was just watching a video about the movie The Lobster. If you haven't seen The Lobster, it's a really interesting, weird movie. But they gave all the characters, they didn't give any of the characters actual names. They gave them just different descriptions. So they'll be like the blind woman or the hotel owner. No one has a name. So it just kind of depends on what kind of story you want to write, but definitely give them some sort of name. So the next one we're going to do is age and appearance. I don't really like talking about appearance because I like to be able to have a wide net when I go to casting. I don't want to, not hinder, but I don't want to have a narrow view of what my main character looks like. So her age, I kind of want her age to be between 25 and 35. It's not going to be known to the audience what her age is, so I guess appearance-wise, that's what I would like her to look like. And then it's obviously going to be a girl, so female. And the title of this is Gorgeous Monster, so I don't know if I'm going to keep that title. It sounds more and more like a horror film as I go through it, and I don't necessarily want it to sound like that. But I might keep it. We'll see. Maybe you guys can tell me if you like that title or not. So if we're going to go with that title, she has to be somewhat attractive. It doesn't even have to be attractive in society. It could be just attractive in a different sense of the word. But we're going to put attractive just because that's going to be something that's more important as opposed to other characters that I've written. So, and then the next two questions are going to be, where are they from? Where did they grow up? I think this is important because literally every single person on Earth has grown up somewhere, and we're all from somewhere, and so this will just make your character feel more human. This also may dictate their accent. This will dictate the way they talk. This will dictate who has, where they grew up is definitely going to dictate their culture. I grew up in Utah, and it's definitely a different culture, especially down in Utah County. So it's definitely a bubble, and it's different here compared to LA. It's going to be different here compared to New York, to Canada, everywhere you go. And so try and figure out where your character is from. I've been talking to a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, and he's been talking to me about funding this film. And he does a lot of stuff up in Oregon. So we might go film this up in Oregon. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how that goes and if we'll be able to get up there soon without any kind of hindrance because of what's going on right now. And everyone's having difficulties traveling, so that might not be for a couple more months, which gives me a couple more months to figure it out. But for right now, I'm going to say she's from Oregon, because that's kind of what I have in my mind right now as far as locations go. If you're planning on shooting it yourself, definitely figure out your locations as you're writing, just to make it easier. My last short film, I found the location first before I finished the script, because I knew it was going to be extremely low budget. I knew it was going to be in one location, so we wouldn't have to move locations to make it easier, and I didn't know what the setting would be, and I found a place where they do live concerts, and it was a concert and club setting, and then I based my script off that, which made it 10 times easier when I went to write, because then I could work around whatever location I had, and I can add that into the script as I write. So we're going to say that she's from Oregon. Let's say that she's from Portland specifically. I've never been to Portland, but I love the show Portlandia, and a lot of people have told me Portland's a lot like Portlandia, which is awesome because I've seen Portlandia a million times. So we're gonna say she's from Portland. So she's a little bit part of that hippie vibe that's down up in Portland, which will definitely give her a specific voice and a specific outlook on society. And so we're gonna say she's from Portland, Oregon. Let's just say she grew up there as well to make it easy. The next two questions is what is their family like, and who was close to them growing up? Everyone has a family and or some kind of situation that they grew up in. This is also going to make your main character obviously a lot more human. So I'm going to kind of base it off another character that I wrote in this book, just to make it easier and so you guys can see how it works. So I'm going to say that she's an only child. And that also coincides with the way she perceives other people. She's extremely selfish and isolated, and so I think being an only child can sometimes make it harder for you to connect with people and to talk to people, and just kind of a sibling relationship is definitely a very unique relationship. And so if you didn't grow up with siblings, you kind of I can see people not necessarily understanding it. And so we'll say she's an only child and who was close to them growing up. I'm gonna kind of say she was kind of a loner growing up. That will also coincide with her background or with her character. And that will just give you another thing to pull from. Let's say that she doesn't really know how to talk to people. She doesn't really know how to connect with people. And I really want you, there's a lot, I left a lot of space in some of these questions just so you could add as many details as you want. And then also you can go to a separate page and write more. You can always write more. We're going to do some questions later on as we get through this worksheet. So please think of some questions as we go along. I'd love to answer them and see how you guys are doing, because yeah, it's kind of crazy out there right now. So we'll just say that. We're going to move on to the next page. These ones are going to be more coincide with their personality more versus their circumstances and the way they grew up. So the next question is, what do they like to do for fun? What are some of their hobbies, talents? What did or do they want to be when they grow up? This is definitely going to help you just with the personality section. If you guys want to follow along, please take out a piece of paper and answer these questions with me. Even if you don't have a story right now, you could just kind of, just for funsies, let's just try it. So the first question is, what do they like to do for fun? My character is, as I said before, is very isolated and selfish. A movie I talk about in here is a young adult, and she doesn't really have any hobbies or anything. She watches a lot of reality TV. So I kind of like that aspect where she's obsessed with people in real life who are also extremely self-centered. So I'm going to say she likes to watch reality TV for fun. And that way she doesn't really interact with anyone either. Another thing I have is she likes to run around the park, which I mean, that's a normal hobby, so we'll give her something normal. I mean, not that reality TV is not normal, but it's not necessarily something people do for fun all the time. So she likes to run around the park. Those are a couple scenes in the story that I added. I like showing that she's somewhat athletic and that she could potentially hurt someone if she really wanted to. And so we're going to put running in there as like a hobby or what she likes to do for fun. Talents. I don't know if she has any talents. What do you guys think would be a good talent for someone who's extremely selfish or someone who is really into themselves? Please let me know if you guys can come up with anything. I haven't really thought about this question too much because I wanted to go into this worksheet fresh and I wanted to, you know, see what I can come up with on the fly. And then what did or do they want to be when they grow up? So in the first scene, she goes on a date with a guy and she takes some selfies to try and impress him and show that she's having fun on her date to get the guy she actually likes jealous. So I'm gonna say what she wants to be. She wants to be a model. I've modeled before, and I don't want to say that modeling is a bad job, but it can be quite vapid or shallow. And so I want her to have that outlook on modeling, that it's an easy job. Modeling can be extremely difficult, but I'm going to say that her perspective of modeling is not fun and she doesn't enjoy it. So I'm going to say that she wanted to be a model, which also could lead to her possibly having some kind of eating disorder. And maybe she doesn't have a, she's obsessed with beauty and vanity, which are not necessarily great qualities for a person. My main character is not likable. And the thing you do with when you have a non-likable character, you want to find at least some aspects of them that make them human. And so those are I think are important. You don't necessarily have to have people like them, but at least relate to them and have them somewhat understand them. So yeah, we'll do eating disorder, and then yeah, she's vain. And then and try and make this as detailed as possible. I'm not going to go too far into detail. I just want you guys to kind of see what the questions were and think about it. So the next set of questions are they religious? Are they spiritual? What do they think happens when we die? Everyone has some point of reference of the way they grew up, if they're spiritual or religious. I grew up somewhat religious, and I'm not, and I'm definitely more spiritual now. And so everyone has their own journey when it comes to religion. And again, like I said, this does not have to be in your script. This is a way to flesh out your main character, and this is a way to make them feel more human and more real and more relatable. So I'm going to say she's not religious. I'm going to say she didn't grow up in any type of religious background. And I want her to feel somewhat lost in this world of religion, like she doesn't quite understand it because she didn't grow up with it. And I'm going to say she's not spiritual either. I'm going to say she probably pretends that she's spiritual to try and feel cool, especially if she grew up in Portland. I know a lot of people are definitely more spiritual. A lot of people are more into meditation and yoga and even what's that word, that religion, Buddhism. So we'll say she pretends to be spiritual because I feel like she doesn't really know who she is, and she likes to think that she fits in. She pretends to be Buddhist, let's say that. I don't know if I spelled that right. And then what do they think happens when we die? I think she probably has a morbid outlook on life a little bit. And so I'm going to say I mean, Buddhism, they believe in reincarnation, so let's say she half believes in Buddhism about reincarnation. And let's say the other half, she just thinks nothing happens, and that's it, and that's the end of life. She half believes in Buddhism, and then the other half, she believes that nothing happens. And I think these questions are important because it gives you a sense of what their purpose is in life. I read the book A Man's Search for Meaning, and it gave me a really great outlook on how people go through life who don't have any sort of religious background, or they don't believe in any kind of religion. And the guy who wrote it was I want to say he was a psychologist. He was extremely smart, and he tried to figure out what was he went to I think it was Auschwitz. He was Jewish, and he went to a concentration camp, and he survived, and so he wrote a book on it. And he found out that if you have no sort of religion or anything holding on to that you believe in, that it's going to happen if you die, or any kind of moral code, a lot of people hold on to their purpose, and figuring out your purpose in life is going to be what gives you hope, and it's going to keep you going in life. And so he figured out that the only reason he was able to make it through the concentration camp was because he hoped for the future, that he could get his ideas and his theories across if he survived. And that was his purpose in life, was to help people and to give other people a different perspective. He came up with a theory, I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically a theory about finding your purpose in life. And so yeah, I don't know why so like when if you think about it that way, if someone doesn't have any sort of religious take on life, they're definitely going to feel lost, and finding your purpose is going to help you get through that. So Franco, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember. The Man's Search for Meaning, I can't remember his name. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember it was all about finding your purpose in life. So she believes half in Buddhism, and then half that nothing happens. And I feel like if she doesn't really have a purpose in life, that's also going to make her feel more isolated and more, feel like she doesn't necessarily fit in. So the next set of questions are, what other viewpoints on love? Have they ever been in love? So I'm going to say that since she's so isolated and since she has such a hard time connecting with people, let's say that her viewpoints on on love are definitely very shallow. And since she watches a lot of reality TV, she bases her viewpoints on reality TV. And reality TV, in case you didn't know this, is not real. And everything is staged, everything is scripted. Producers can be very manipulative. They will interview people and coax them into saying things. And also they can take the edit and they can trick people with the edit and put in reactions that didn't happen to certain sentences and questions and little things, and make people seem how they're not really in real life. So reality TV is definitely probably the most shallow version of reality that we are able to watch. And so let's say that her viewpoints on love are based on reality TV, which is not necessarily the best way to view love, in my opinion. Have they ever been in love? Let's say she falls in love all the time, and not necessarily with people who are good for her, people who return that love, but people who coincide with what the reality TV has shown her, which is just basically people who are attractive, people who have money, let's say, people who seem somewhat successful in our society. And so let's say she just falls in love all the time, but not necessarily with people who are good for her or people who love her back. I really would like you guys to focus on this a little bit more, especially if your story has any sort of romantic relationship, because this is something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about. It's like, how were their relationships before, or how do they perceive love or any kind of romantic relationship. And mine is definitely more about relationships, because she's trying to get this guy to notice her, and she's trying to go out with him and get him to fall in love with her, essentially. And so the next question is, what are their best and worst characteristics? This is definitely a more vague question. But I don't necessarily want to go through it too detailed, because it's going to take a while. So let's talk about her good qualities, because she sounds like a terrible person. And so you can find this worksheet. This is in my book, Get Your Story Straight. If you go to the link in my bio, it will take you straight there. The website is wittingramfilm.com/storytelling. If you go to the link in my bio and you click on it, it will take you straight to the book, Get Your Story Straight. This is full of different worksheets that will help you write your story. It will help you flesh out your main character. So this is the second worksheet that we're going over today, so you guys can kind of see how it works and follow along. And then we'll, if you really want to, you can go download the book right now, and you can follow along with me with the actual worksheets in your hand, because it is a downloadable digital ebook. That's where you can find it right now. So let's say, what are the best and worst characteristics? And this is going to coincide with your main character. So, and let's say that she is, what's something good that we could talk about her? Because we've only been saying bad things so far. So let's say, what's like a good characteristic, Doug? What's a good characteristic that someone is, that someone who's necessarily not a great person can show? Let me try and think of some reality TV stars that, checking out your book. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks to everyone else who's already purchased the book. I hope this has been helpful. I've been getting a lot of good feedback. Because this is something I put a lot of thought into, and I really want to help people who are stuck when they're trying to write their own stories, and they're trying to figure out how to start an idea and turn it into an actual great story. So she has a lot of empathy. I feel like she might not be extremely empathetic, but let's say her good characteristic is she might see, she might, well, I don't know if I really want her to have a lot of empathy or sympathy.
How about she's just generally happy all the time?
She's generally happy. Yeah, let's say that she's generally, let's say she's generally optimistic. And it doesn't even have to be real optimism. Maybe she's so delusional that she thinks she's optimistic. How do you spell optimistic? So yeah, let's say that her viewpoint on life can be morbid, but in general, her one of her best characteristics is, let's say, she's optimistic, and that could coincide with her being so optimistic that she doesn't even realize her fault, and she's so obsessed with this guy at work that she's so optimistic that she will be able to date him regardless of how he feels about her or the kind of person that he actually is. Worst characteristics, we already kind of went on that. Let's say that her worst characteristic is that she's self-centered. She's extremely selfish and only really cares about herself, which is why she doesn't really connect with most people, because she doesn't really care about them. Go through that, come up with I left a lot of space here to put in best and worst characteristics about your main character, so go through that and really give it a lot of thought. There's just 2 more pages on here, and I tried to give you guys more room so you can think about how much detail I want you to put into your main character, and I really want you to try and flesh it out on here as much as possible. So what are some significant events that have shaped them into who they are? Ooh, that is a good question. So what are some significant events that have shaped your main character and have helped your main character turn into the person that they actually are? That's a hard question. We're going to go over questions here in a minute. Let me just try and get through this worksheet really quick. So think of some questions you have for me after I get through this worksheet, and we'll answer some, and I want to see how you guys are doing. So let's say she wanted to be a model as her job growing up, and maybe she still does want to be a model because it seems like an easy job to her, let's say. And so let's say a significant event is a photographer showed her a lot of attention when she was doing a photo shoot. And let's say that gave her a sense of self-worth. It gave her confidence. And it kind of gave her a sense of worthiness as far as looks go, because obviously being a model is really more about your appearance more than anything. A photographer gave her attention, which she wasn't necessarily used to, and it gave her this trajectory in her life on that beauty and vanity is most important. And so we can kind of leave it there. I put in more detail on different events that have shaped them, different events that were, let's say, like tragic, different events that really boosted their self-esteem, different events that, let's say, led them on this path to the job that they're doing now, or deaths in family, like anything that you can think of that was significant that would change them. Before this story starts, and this is obviously your backstory, so this is everything that's happened before the actual story you're telling right now. The next question is, what other unique characteristics can you think about for your main character? So this is going to be specifically unique characteristics. So this isn't just general characteristics. This is just something that's extremely unique to your main character, and this is what is going to make them stand out as far as other characters go in your story. I'm going to say that she's vegetarian. There's a part in the script that her coworker gives her a sandwich and it has meat on it, and she takes it all out and puts it in his hands. My script has no dialogue in it. There's zero dialogue. I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could tell a great story with zero dialogue. And the only dialogue is really text messages. And so the theme I'm kind of going with is, not only is she isolated, but she has trouble with communication, and the world she lives in. Is our trailer shaking? Oh. I keep getting scared there's going to be another earthquake. My brother in Idaho, they had an earthquake yesterday, and we had an earthquake a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of scary. So I keep thinking any shake or any movement is another earthquake, and it's kind of messing with me a little bit. So, yeah, is that your April Fool's joke? So yeah, let's say she's vegetarian, which is unique because vegetarians usually have some sort of compassion towards animals. So that could be another good characteristic as far as good stuff about this person goes. So let's say she likes animals. And a lot of times, and so in the book Save the Cat, when they talk about characteristics, the best way to get your main character to be likable is if they're nice to animals or children. So animals or children will definitely make your character, it's just an easy way to make them likable, despite if they're a terrible person or not. That's just a quality that I think most people can relate to, that if you're nice to animals or children, you're generally a good person, because animals and children are essentially innocent, and they're just things that a lot of people can relate to. So she likes animals, which it is kind of a counterintuitive thing, because she doesn't necessarily like people, or she doesn't actually connect with people, but she likes animals, so that can be somewhat of a unique characteristic for her. Go through it and find other unique characteristics. I know people have some questions, so but I think that the unique thing, as far as because there's best and worst characteristics, and then the unique characteristics are really going to set your main character apart, and obviously make them more unique and interesting. And please make your character interesting. I don't want to see any boring people. If you guys fill this worksheet out, I'd really like to see it and see what you guys came up with. I think that'd be interesting, and I want to know what you guys think of it too, and see if it helped you develop your main character. So, and then the next thing isn't necessarily a question, but it's describe your character in a narrative form. In the book, I gave you guys an example of a narrative form of a backstory about your main character. And so it basically goes from their childhood up until whatever age they're at in the story by the time you start telling it. It answers all the questions that are from this worksheet, and tells it in a narrative form. So it's like this person grew up here and they went to this school and they have this, but it's more interesting. It's more like a book instead of just answering questions. And this is something that you can give if you're planning on producing it, if you're planning on shooting it. This is something you can give to your main actor too. And it just makes it easier by the time you go to shoot it. They understand that character that much more. And you can have an open discussion with that actor and see and tell them how you see this character, and they can also give you insight on how they want to play that character and what they want to do with it. And so especially like when you get on set, it's going to be very fast paced, and you're going to want to know your main actor is going to definitely want to know everything possible so you guys can get through the scene, and what you're picturing in your head is what is going to happen on screen, and it's going to make it easy for you. So that's the backstory worksheet. So yeah, let's answer some questions. It's already 1 a.m. in my country here. Could you quickly answer my question and continue with your worksheet, please? Yeah, I'm done with the worksheet, so ask me whatever questions you guys have right now. This worksheet is definitely longer and more detailed, as you guys can see, compared to the last worksheet. And then it will focus more on the backstory. If you go to my book, the link is in my bio. And I'm also offering 10% off right now for any of my followers. So the discount code is I Feel Witty, IFEELWITTY. I Feel Witty will get you 10% off my book, and it will also get you 10% off any of my script consulting services, which is right there next to the book. You guys can see the different options that I have. And so if you have a story, if you're working on a story right now with the worksheet, or if you have a different story and you need help with it, I have different kinds of script consulting services for whatever you need, and I can give you one-on-one. Can you ask the question again so I don't have to go through and scroll, because I don't have time to scroll through everything. And so if you go through that and you need help with any type of story or anything like that, it's just a great way to have an open dialogue with someone who cares about helping you with your story. It's not just a friend or a parent or someone who is going to be supportive no matter what, and someone who doesn't necessarily know how a screenplay is written, or structure, or main character, or what to ask, or how to respond to a story regardless of if they like it or not. So a script consultant is a great way to get constructive criticism. It's a great way to get honest feedback, because I have no investment in you. Most people I don't know. And so and it's a great way to get some kind of motivation and inspiration. I love working with screenwriters, and I love helping people develop their story. It not only is fun to connect with artists, but it also makes me a better writer and a better director. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. That's awesome. If you go to my book, you guys can see more of the worksheets, and then I want to do another worksheet, and you guys could follow along, or you could already have filled it out, and then if you need help with it, then you can see how I did it, and maybe that will give you more insight on to how to answer some of the questions, and that might help. Hi to everyone on YouTube also. So if you guys want to see this live stream on YouTube, it will show you how the worksheet looks instead of just here on the live stream. So if you go through, and it will have different camera views as well. So if you go to djp.li/witty2, the number 2, that will take you straight to the live stream here, and then you guys can go back and watch this video again and scroll through it, and you can see the worksheet and see how it looks. And yeah, it just might be an easier way to actually, if you're really interested in the book, you guys can see it here, and it just looks nicer too, and you guys can see the trailer. We're in Doug Johnson's video trailer right now. I work in Utah mostly, and so I work a lot of times in the video trailer just because it's nice to work here, and it's easy to get things done, and it's just such a nice setup. All the monitors are 4K. There's 18 different monitors in here, and everything's really quick. And as you can see, the trailers are really cool. If you guys can kind of see the setup at least behind me, and then there's 10 times more going on around this trailer. Say hi, Doug.
Hey, how's it going?
So Doug's here too. I've been trying to get ready to build my own computer so I could do this from home. But with everything that's going on right now, it is difficult to get through, to get work, and I had a lot of stuff canceled, and so now getting a new computer has kind of gone on my back burner, as people say. So, what advice would you give the filmmakers who live in small towns where filmmaking is not really a big thing? The nice thing about being a filmmaker in this day and age is that a lot of things are done online, and there's a lot of great online tutorials. And honestly, like the last year and a half, I've been getting a lot more work because of posting things online. I don't necessarily get a lot more work because I'm working with locals, and I'm working in the city, or I'm working wherever. And so posting a lot of stuff online is a great way to get noticed. Just try and make as much content as possible. The easiest way to make content is doing stuff from home, like right now, which is what everyone has been forced to do. And so right now I've just been writing and editing, and then another thing is try and find a network of people in your area that will help you make films. I don't necessarily live in the biggest filmmaking area in the country, but and I don't necessarily live in a small town either, so definitely being in a small town is going to make your life a lot more difficult as far as finding other crew members and casting. So right now I feel like if you can find people in your local area that you can work with, and that you can get through everything, and let's just say that you do find a crew, try and make as much stuff as possible and post things online, connect with people online, and get through it. I don't necessarily have a YouTube channel right now, so the way to watch this right now is djp.li/WITTY and then the number 2. That is how you can watch this right now. That's on Doug Johnson's video YouTube channel. My video channel on YouTube isn't really working right now. I don't have anything set up right now. So if you do want to watch this on YouTube, you can go there, djp.li/witty2. That is the best way to find that on YouTube, me on YouTube right now. I'm probably going to be posting stuff. I was supposed to be posting stuff on YouTube this month. Actually, tomorrow was supposed to be my world premiere for my short film that I shot in the fall. And obviously that's not happening anymore because the film festival was postponed, and so, which means that I can't post my film yet, and I was really excited to post it for you guys so you guys can see how that works and how it looks, because it's the first project I've done in a while that I wrote and directed, and then I also edited it, and that was supposed to premiere tomorrow. So yeah, that's let me answer this. Curious what type of content you DP, features, television, commercials. I do all types of stuff. Right now I've been doing a lot of live events. That's just kind of what I've fallen into with Doug here. So I'll camera operate on live concerts, sporting events, different types of venues, even film festival panels. I've done a little bit of commercial work, and then I also do narratives. I just finished, like I said, I just finished a short film. I didn't DP that, I directed it. And then, most of the stuff when I'm DPing, it's usually just camera operating, and I'm working in live events. Recently, that's what I've been working on mostly. But yeah, so another thing, like with the small town thing, that sounds, I remember I was talking to someone about, I don't know how I would get through being a filmmaker living in such a tiny, small town. And if you can find a group of people to help you make content, please try and do that. Other than that, focus getting things online, because that's really how you connect with people, and that's how I've connected with people all over the world that I would have never met had I not done more stuff online. Especially within the last year and a half, I've definitely tried to focus putting content on my Instagram. I don't necessarily like doing it. This is like a part-time job for me, putting stuff on Instagram, and coming up with things to say on my posts, and coming up with great photos, and remembering to take a picture when I'm working, and trying to set something up that will at least look decent. But I've really tried to focus on and trying to inspire other artists, because I love working with other artists and connecting with people. And so doing that, it's getting your stuff online and showing people what you do and telling people this is what I do, I think is crucial, not only to get people to notice you, but also for your confidence. Get used to telling people that, hey, this is what I do, this is what I focus on, this is what I'm going to be doing with my life. Let's connect. Let's please tell us what you do and what you want to do and everything like that. So I moved from Arizona to Los Angeles as an actor, filmmaker. How is that? I know I could be in LA if I really wanted to, and it's just so expensive there, and it's so saturated with other people who are in film, and so I know it's hard to move from a smaller pond to a bigger pond, and this is definitely a difficult job, and it's difficult to get through. And so I can't imagine what it's like to just go there and be an actor, because not only you don't necessarily have to you can be the most talented actor and you could still not be what other people are looking for, because you don't necessarily fit what the director or what the producer is looking for, and you could be so talented and still not get work. And I've done a little bit of acting, and I don't necessarily like it, because it's a lot of pressure and it's really hard to get through. And so yeah, let me know how that's going for you in LA. I know everything's on lockdown too, so I can't imagine being an actor right now, because there's not a lot you can do online as far as getting acting gigs. And so, which is why I've been doing this. I've been writing and trying to edit and get through as much as I can in this time, because everyone's isolated and everyone's at home. What genre of film would you prefer to make? If it's totally up to you. My favorite genre is dark comedies. That's what this short film is going to be about, the Gorgeous Monster one that we've been going over with the worksheets. And I love dark comedies. I love The Big Lebowski. I don't know if anyone has seen that, but that's such a good example of a great dark comedy, because I love aspects of comedy that maybe aren't necessarily supposed to be funny. I don't know what that says about me, or weirdly, not necessarily violent, but weirdly morbid. So in The Big Lebowski, he gets mistaken for a millionaire the millionaire's wife is kidnapped, and he gets mistaken for that millionaire, and he gets roped into finding his kidnapped wife. And is beat up and threatened to be murdered, and one of his friends dies, and if you went into it not knowing it was a comedy, you would think it was a really dark kind of like action film. So yeah, dark comedy is definitely my favorite. Anything that the Coen brothers have done, I really enjoy, and a lot of their stuff is definitely more of a dark comedy. So what's your favorite job on set? My favorite job on set is directing, for sure. I've done every single job on set that you could possibly do. I've done PAing, DPing, grip, scripty, audio. I've even done makeup and hair. I've done wardrobe. I've done crafty, and obviously editing and writing. And then I've done a little bit of acting too, and I don't necessarily like acting, but I think it's important to get through things. If you're going to direct, I think it's really important to be on the other side of the camera and understand what it takes to be directed as an actor. It's terrifying. And I understand how that feels to be directed by someone who is kind of hard to understand or isn't encouraging, and it's scary when the director is telling you to do something and you don't get it, or you don't know what they want from you, or they're not explaining something right, and or you just trying to learn the lingo and what they want, what they really want from you, and feel like you're not doing a good job if they're not encouraging to you in any way. And so I try to take what I learned acting in front of the camera, and trying to figure out what is the best way to get your actors to do what you want them to do, but also be encouraging and letting them have the freedom to figure out a scene and to figure out a character and little quirks and things. Sometimes the actors make it better than how you see it in your head. And so trusting your actors, casting is crucial. And then also having some, like if you wrote it, having some kind of backstory, which is why I wrote this book, so you could really flesh out your main character. And then when you go to casting and you find your main character, you have something to give to them. You have a great backstory. You have something that it makes them feel human, makes them feel like a real person, and then they can relate to that. What would your reaction if the first thing you see when you wake up tomorrow is that Marvel has offered you to work with its team? That would be cool. I don't necessarily like Marvel movies. I'm not really into big hero movies. I did like Wonder Woman, probably just because it was Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's cool. I'm excited for Black Widow. But yeah, that would be definitely an exciting opportunity. I definitely would not turn that down. I would really love to work with a bigger studio, just because I've never done that before, and that'd be a really amazing experience. How do you stay focused? It's very hard to stay focused, especially right now with everything that's going on. Doing things like this actually help. It's been very up and down staying at home constantly, and definitely not being able to go to set. I love going to set, and I love connecting with people and networking, and it's just really fun being on a film set. And so now I'm trying to set little goals for myself at least every day to get something done in my script, because I'm planning on shooting it within the next few months, or whenever that is possible to get through. I have no idea when I'd be able to shoot it. I was talking to a friend of mine who will possibly finance it, and they're starting to location scout in May, or at least that's what the plan is. We'll find out by the end of the week if that's going to happen. So I'm trying to prepare for other projects right now and really get my script to a place to where I'm happy with it and I'm excited to shoot it. I'm also going to be working on storyboards and shot lists and everything that you do in pre-production for it. So I would recommend like having some kind of project that you know you're going to be shooting in the future, working on scripts, getting little goals. And also having other people in your network, in your circle, to talk to about your goals, and you can inspire each other and help each other through this time. Like my friend who's a filmmaker, we talk all the time, and he'll talk to me about his digital release right now and how things are delayed and his next project's coming up. And I'll talk about my projects, and we'll just try and motivate each other and try to get through this time together, because we're all in this together right now, which is obviously not fun, but it's kind of nice knowing that we're not all going through this alone, and everyone's kind of in the same boat, especially artists, because if you don't do everything from home, then that's your job, and you're kind of, you have to be inventive on how you're going to get work and how you're going to get paid. And so that's why I've been writing a lot. I've been also trying to edit, and so I've seen a couple great contests too. And so if you go to Film Riot, they're having a 1-minute contest for editors. Editing is something you can do from home for sure. And then there's also Jacob Bowens. He has another contest where he shot a music video, and he's giving everyone access to the footage, and you'll take the footage and you can edit a music video, and it's a contest, so it makes it kind of fun, and it motivates you to work on something and be creative, and so you can make that music video and send it off and try and win. I can't remember what the prizes are. Hi to everybody from Colombia. Hi, that's so awesome. Is this contest going on right now? Yes, both these contests are going on right now. I can't remember what the dates are, but I just barely saw them, so I know they're going on right now. Jacob Bowens and then Film Riot. And I think I might do them too. We'll see if I have the energy to write and do all the other projects that I have and get through this. So it's definitely try and stay focused and work on projects that that motivate you, and then will also be beneficial to your future. So because we're not going to be in this forever, we're not going to be isolated forever. I know no one really knows necessarily when this is all going to be over. I know the US is definitely kind of a month behind everyone else, or at least that's what I've been reading. And the US also has the most cases of COVID-19 right now. And I know things will get better here soon, but definitely within the next couple weeks, I think it's important to buckle down and come up with a plan on how you're going to survive and be creative and stay home during this time, because it's definitely something that's not going away anytime soon. I find keeping to a routine helps a lot. Then taking a break after completing tasks helps a lot. Yeah, I don't work 12 hours a day. Like if I'm working, I'm exerting a lot of energy into 3 to 5 hours a day. And I think it's important when you're writing is write something and go through it. That's why I have these worksheets to kind of think about it and get you away from the script and actually think about your main character. And you're still writing, you're just writing in a different way. And then taking a break and going back to the script. I always notice different things with a script or with an edit or everything that you're working on. Take a break, go back to it, and you're going to notice different things. Even working with other people and getting other people to take a break with and just do normal things. I know I said take this time to be creative and take this time to try and get as much done as possible that you can do from home, but also take some time to just not be overwhelmed and kind of relax is important. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like get little tasks and try and come up with somewhat of a routine, which is why I've been trying to do this live stuff, because it gets me out of the house and it gets me focused on something other than what's going on in the world right now. So yeah, like definitely try and get somewhat of a routine, try and be creative, but also try not to get too overwhelmed and do things from home and just try and learn stuff. I watch a lot of documentaries right now, and so we've got 2 minutes left. Just one novel which you would suggest. A great novel if you want to for screenwriting. My favorite novel for screenwriting is definitely Save the Cat. That helped me immensely when it comes to writing. I started reading that in college, and it totally changed my game when it comes to storytelling just in general. And so that's a great book to check out. It's not expensive. You can get it online. Save the Cat. It's a white book, and it's got a big orange cat on it. I've only got about a minute left, you guys, so thank you guys so much for joining. I hope this has been beneficial to you guys. We went through 2 worksheets so far from my book. There's the backstory worksheet is the one we did today, and that's just going to really help you with your main character, Save the Cat. Yes, that's the book. And so that's going to help you develop your story, and it's definitely going to help my story, because I'm really excited about the way that it turned out. It really made me think, and I'm the one that wrote it. So I think that's probably a good sign. It's probably something that it can be beneficial to other writers as well, because I've been writing for, 10 years now, and I've been in film for a long time, and so my thing's gonna shut off here soon, so I'm not gonna go 2 hours again because last time my voice was shot, and then I also recorded the audio version of the ebook. So I'm going to put that out soon. I'll let you guys know when we do another live stream. I might be working with someone else here soon at the end of the week. So stay updated on that. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Have a good day. Love you guys. Thank you. Okay.